should tell you, I mean, the countries don't have any. I mean, the countries don't have any issues with me. Israel has invited me on a number of occasions. The Palestinians have also done that. Indeed, the Palestinian ambassador in Ghana is one of my very, very good friends. And so is the Israeli ambassador. So please be rest assured that despite my ideological stance on these matters, you will see objectivity. But Article 40 is clear. We must also, in the pursuit of our foreign policy, be guided by international law, a rule-based order, international principles. So where our friends err, we should be bold to point it out. Because as Nkrumah said on the 16th of December 1959, when he presented our foreign policy to Parliament, he said that we will not be passive spectators, that as good friends, when you err, when you commit genocide, when you commit atrocities against women and children, we will point it out to you. And it does not make us bad friends. It rather, makes us very, very good friends. So that's the position I take on these matters.
Thank you very much. Your last question. Or you have a follow-up on this?
This was a follow-up on the first question.
It cannot be.
No, it was.
It cannot be.
I said so that it was a follow-up.
No. The fact that you said so doesn't mean it should be a follow-up.
No, it was
Please,
a follow-up.
ask a follow-up question whether he is taking sides in these various wars that you have mentioned. Please go ahead with the follow-up question on this.
Mr. Chairman, respectfully, I asked the question about his leanings on taking sides. And I made a follow-up on the specific issue of whether or not he would take sides. It was all about taking sides. Thank you.
How is he going to marry?
No, it was taking sides. And then I gave a specific example whether he takes sides.
This is your last question.
Last question?
If you have a follow-up on this, I will allow it.
Chairman, no, this is it. I can give you the documentations I use. Because it's a follow-up. It was a follow-up on the first question. Thank you. So, Mr. Chairman, the question I want to ask the nominee, which is the second question, is the nominee, if he's given the nod as foreign minister, as I said initially, it's a very high office. And as he himself has been articulating, it will require, in his words, rules-based, it will require a lot of fairness, objectivity, and all of that. Mr. Chairman, on 23rd December 2024, the nominee made a post where he alleged that unimpeachable evidence from the Lands Commission shows that the two daughters of President Akufo-Addo have acquired some state lands in cantonments, and that amounted to state capture. Mr. Chairman, the company which was the subject matter of this allegation was Nsunam Company Limited. Mr. Chairman, a search at the Lands Commission will show that the land in question is the property of administrators of the estate of Justice, the late Justice Johnson Sripo, a former Justice of the Supreme Court and Chairman of the Electoral Commission, who acquired the land as far back as 1969, specifically on 1st June 1969. And indeed, Mr. Chairman, at the time, the President's children were not even born. The subject matter land was acquired by the states, Mr. Chairman, as far back as 1869, and the lease will end in 2069. So clearly, this land is not state land. The President's children did not buy state land. On the evidence, on the record, it is absolutely clear that they did not buy state land. Will the nominee concede, given that he's seeking to be foreign minister and will be required to be fair to all manner of persons, that the President's children were wrongly accused and he will apologize to them? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, your quick answer.
Well, thank you very much for the question. The Honorable Agojinapo will recall that When I put out that article, I supported the article with evidence from the Lands Commission. I attached an official search that I had conducted on those two lands. Indeed, those are lands that you have in Somnam and then the lot boutique, a fashion boutique. And I sought to inquire from the Lands Commission the status, the ownership of the land. And the Lands Commission responded in that official search, which I published. And Ghanaians can go on my social media handles. You see the official search results, where the Lands Commission, in their response, indicated that all those lands are government lands. So in my article, I asked a question. Is this another state capture? Is President Akufo-Addo allocating state lands to his daughters? It was a question. Based on empirical evidence, what the Lands Commission had told me in writing as official search results when I put in that official search. So there is really no need to apologize on this matter. We need to probably be discussing reforming the Lands Commission. You were Lands Minister. If you think that the Lands Commission misled me, then you need to join us with ideas on how to reform the Lands Commission, get their data to be more accurate, so that when we conduct official search, what they tell us, the reports that they give us, their search certificates, are not misleading. Because all of the facts you put out, I don't know them. In 1979, I wasn't born.
Thank you.
The Lands Commission told me they are government lands, and I have the documents here.
Thank you.
To confirm
Thank you
that. So
very much. Thank you very much.
It's not my fault.
Any follow-up on the land acquisition?
Mr. Chairman, my follow-up will be that I have in my hands, and this is all about government lands. Of course, I mean, the nominee is literally established and conceded that the president's daughter did not buy state lands. If they were government lands as far back as 1969, they were not state lands at the time when they were tenants. As you know, they are tenants of that place.
Please, your follow-up question. Please, your follow-up question.
Mr. Chairman, please, this being a house of records, I have not admitted.
I know.
I haven't said
house of records.
I'm saying that
you never
the record I have, what the Lands Commission gave me.
Therefore,
when I conduct official
rescind your decision and apologize.
So
please,
I'm not changing my stance on the matter.
I've not litigated that. I will not litigate that. All that I said was that the evidence is clear that the land was bought as far back as 1969. The president's children are just tenants, so they did not buy state land. That's the point I'm making. I'm not litigating with you, Mr. Nominee. I'm just setting the record straight that they did not buy state land as you suggested. So, Mr. Chairman, the follow-up would be, and this really is flowing from the issue of the nominee's standing and reputation on the protection of public funds, state lands, and all of that. And the question is simple. I mean, I know the chairman is in a hurry to move on with his vetting.
So long as the question relates to the acquisition as a follow-up, I will allow you.
Yes.
If not, I will overrule you.
Well, it relates to the protection of states, estates, generally speaking. And the question is very simple. In that protection, Mr. Chairman, you will see that the nominee has, on multiple occasions, asked for, quotes, the state to eschew frivolous foreign travels by government officials, end quotes, and gone at great length to make the point about how we need to be frugal. I know that the foreign minister travels on first-class ticket. Will he travel on economic ticket when he's made foreign minister?
Accordingly, the question is overruled. There can't be a follow-up question on acquisition of land. You are done. I don't give the floor to Honorable Ziwera. Honorable Ziwera, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the opportunity to congratulate my boss and my mentor and to wish him well. Congratulations, Honorable Ablakwa. Your leadership has been exemplary. Mr. Chairman, I served with Honorable Ablakwa on the Foreign Affairs Committee. And if you look for a team player, you'll find it in Honorable Ablakwa. Honorable Ablakwa, extent of knowledge in the foreign ministry and international relations makes him the best choice actually for this position. And I want to commend highly President Mahama for giving us this choice. We know that with your extensive experience, with your knowledge, and with your excellent human relations, you are going to lift the flag of Ghana very high in the Committee of Nations. I can only wish you well, and I say congratulations, Honorable Ablakwa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Order. Order. Thank you. Order. Order. I proceed to give the floor to Honorable Soa.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. Honorable Nominee, my Anglican brother, I wish to congratulate you on your nomination by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama. And I am sure and I trust that you are going to deliver well to the people of Ghana. My question, how will you make our embassies and high commissions more responsive to Ghanaians in the diaspora?
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Odole. I call her the MP with the most embassies in Ghana. Virtually all the embassies and high commissions are in her constituency. This is a very, very important question, and Ghanaians in the diaspora are really concerned about how our embassies and high commissions can be more responsive. As ranking member, I advocated strongly for the establishment of a consular fund. I was shocked to learn that our hard-working foreign service staff have to sometimes contribute their own money from their pockets to assist distressed Ghanaians out there who need consular assistance. In the budget for the foreign service, we don't have a line item for consular relations. You know, under the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations, 1963, countries must extend these courtesies to their citizens. So, as foreign minister, when given the nod, I will make sure that we establish the consular fund. We must make sure that this fund exists, that can be assessed by our foreign service staff to extend assistance, particularly in this period where the United States has announced mass deportations. Those who may be rounded up to be deported are entitled to consular support. We must get them legal assistance so that they are not just rounded up and deported, their rights violated. You know, sometimes even in the deportation, how they are deported, sometimes chained to seats and all of that, treated as criminals. That is a violation of their human rights. It affronts their dignity. And these are matters that I will pursue forcefully. So we will seek to establish the consular fund. And in the KPIs that we will be drafting for our diplomats, we will also make sure that they prioritize the needs, the concerns, and the plight of Ghanaians who are living abroad. Because really, why establish an embassy if you cannot take care of Ghanaians within that jurisdiction? So that will be a priority area. And I thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you. I'm sure our brothers and sisters out there will be excited about your response. I wish you well on your appointment as the Foreign Minister for the Republic of Ghana, and I pray God's blessings for you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I proceed to recognize Honorable Amprechum.
Thank you, Chairman, for this opportunity. Honorable Sir, we meet again. Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, MP for the good people of North. You are at the verge of becoming the number 3 diplomat of this great country of Ghana after His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the President, Her Excellency Jane Nana Opukwajima, the Vice President. Honorable Nominee, permit me to remind you that the international arena that you are going to operate in and the diplomatic circles that you are going to engage in is very different from the political terrain that you have been dancing with your propaganda theatrics.
Honorable member, you haven't started well. You are out of order. I will give you the floor to start well.
Thank you.
Else I will rule you out.
We have worked and engaged. I have worked and engaged with you on the Foreign Affairs Committee for 8 years, including the last 4 years as the immediate past Deputy Foreign Minister for Political and Economic Affairs. And I can say, without any shred of doubt, that you have the capacity and the capabilities to rise up to the responsibilities of the position of the Minister for Foreign Affairs. If, and only if, you change your suit of sometimes giving disinformation. And I have 2 references as my basis for making that point, and it's extremely important, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. The question is overruled. Ask another question.
Mr. Ablakwa, some 3-4 years back, you started a crusade when the ministry was about to purchase the chancellery in Oslo. You came up with all kinds of stories that eventually turned out to be untrue. Eventually, it encouraged a Norwegian lawyer to take Ghana government to court, which eventually ended up in the Supreme Court of Norway. Even though we won it, it cost us a lot of money because of what you did, the information that you put out there, which, like I said, encouraged the Norwegian lawyer to pursue a matter which he had no case.
The question.
Order.
That is number 1. Number 2, recently,
please, are you asking one question or you are asking 2 questions at the same time?
Mr. Chairman, I am laying the foundation for the question.
Question mark.
Please, I'm laying the foundation for the question. Without the foundation, it will be difficult for me to ask the particular question that I want to ask. Now, so the first one was to do with the Norwegian, the purchase of the Norwegian chancellery. The second one, recently, you put out that the ministry has signed up with a company, Access Citizen Ghana Limited, which are supposed to provide front-end premium consular services, just like the services being provided by VFS. And Access Ghana is providing that services to some selected missions abroad. Your accusation was that some corrupted transaction of about $38 million, and that the Ghana government was being shortchanged. There is no truth in this particular matter. Now, in the course of making these allegations, you indicated, and it's constantly something that you've been doing, that you have intercepted. I have intercepted documents.
Yes.
Now, here is the case that you are coming to work in a ministry where you have constantly been saying that you have intercepted, which presupposes that some staff in the ministry has been giving you these documents, or you have been encouraging it. Confidential documents. All the staff in there have signed up to an oath of secrecy and confidentiality. And you are constantly out there saying that you have intercepted. You have intercepted. Putting these officers in very difficult situations. Now that you are coming to work in this particular ministry, how would you take it if documents are leaked and it's being encouraged by, let's say, an outside statement?
Honorable Amprachum, what is your question?
I have asked. The question has not been asked.
Honorable member, go ahead and answer the question, devoid of the aspect of how you are intercepting the documents. Go ahead, answer the questions, devoid of how you intercept the documents. Because of what I've always been saying, that we have the Whistleblowers Act.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Chairman. And I see that my good brother, the Honorable Amprechum, is probably aspiring to become the next chief interceptor. Let me, on a more serious note, assure the good people of this country that all I have done in my interceptions, in my oversight, in pursuing parliamentary due diligence has always been...
Honorable members, let me place on record that I don't want any disruption today. If you are not a member of the committee and you can't comport yourself, kindly walk out.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, as I was saying, all the interceptions, the parliamentary oversight, the due diligence I have carried out as MP and ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee has been in the national interest. Indeed, many Ghanaians have celebrated me for saving this country's billions of dollars, not cedis, dollars. I can go through a long list of over 100 exposés which have saved this country billions of dollars. And I would have thought that my colleague would be commending me for saving this country billions of dollars. On the specific matters you raise, Oslo Chancery purchase. Again, I should be commended that I saved this country $12.2 million. Remember that you had appeared before us that you were going to purchase that chancery. You brought us the information that you were about to purchase that chancery based on the $50 million facility that the Honorable Hannah Tete secured before she left the ministry. I then decided to carry out due diligence. And in the work that I did, not being an armchair ranking member who is told that we are going to buy a chancery and then I give you approval, blank check, yeah, go ahead, go and buy. When I did the due diligence, I discovered that the property had been purchased a few months before Ghana was going to buy it for $12.2 million, for $4 million. And I raised alarm. Indeed, the court documents that I have read, and you rightly confirmed that the Norwegian property owner took the government of Ghana to court. The defense of Ghana is that your ministry, the foreign ministry, did not authorize the official who went to commit Ghana. And that is why Ghana then won the case, and that official was chastised that she didn't have the full approval and authorization to go purchase that chancery. So what I put out was not false, it was fact. The court documents confirm it. You yourself told the judges, the Attorney General, Godfrey Dame, represented us in the Norwegian courts and said that that foreign service official did not have your authorization. The court records are there. I can produce them if the chairman wants to see them. So it's a confirmation of what I put out. And I should rather be commended, because, but for me, if what you told the court is true, it means you wouldn't have known that your officials in Norway were committing you to this outrageous purchase, which will have cost Ghana money. So please commend me. I saved Ghana money. Then on access, the visa deal. I am again surprised that you say that that matter is not true. And you see, you can't have it both ways. You can't be complaining about leaks, that people are leaking documents to me from the ministry. And at the same time, you say that I'm just engaged in, putting out a figment of my imagination. I can confirm today that thanks to the oversight that I carried out, the latest information when I was briefed by the directors at the ministry is that that whole transaction did not follow due process. It did not follow the Procurement Act. If it was PPA, if it was a PPP arrangement, it required parliamentary approval. All of that was not followed. So they showed me documents confirming that the ministry has rescinded, has backed out of the deal. And indeed, they've gotten access to write a letter committing that they were no longer going ahead with that agreement. Again, I saved Ghana $38 million. So, please, I know that sometimes when we carry out our oversight, it may not be pleasing to you, but we do it not with malice, not because we don't like you. It's just love for country. As I always say, for God and country. It's a tough job. I'm not happy that so some of you will not like me and all of that. But somebody has to do it. Somebody has to step in and save the country money. And that's my only motivation. All the scandals I've put out have been confirmed. Indeed, those who even went to court seeking to take me on, they lost. Check all the court cases. Because I make sure that I always secure unimpeachable, irrefutable, and incontrovertible evidence before I put these matters out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further questions?
Mr. Chairman, I go back to this 38 million. It is not true that you have saved Ghana $38 million because Ghana was not going
Honorable member, it is not for you to establish. It is not for you to establish whether it is true or it is not true. If you want to go that tangent, we may not be able to. You have asked a question, the nominee has provided the answer. So how do we create the opportunity for you to say it is not true? You also say it is true. So please take his answer, whether true or not. So proceed to answer. To ask another question.
With all due respect, in that particular transaction, Ghana government was not going to pay any money. That is the point I'm making. So if Ghana government is not going to pay any money, how do you save Ghana government that money? That is the point I'm making.
Is that your question?
That is the point I was just trying to clarify.
You are not here to make a point. You can put that to him as a question, and then you can elicit the answer.
Mr. Nominee, would you agree with me that the investigation that you did, and you said the briefings that you had from the officers at the ministry, you came to the conclusion that you did save Ghana the 38 million, and that Ghana was going to pay the 38 million? And if that was the case, can you please tell the committee how that payment was going to happen or come about?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your response, please.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Chairman. I thought that the former Honorable Deputy Minister will confirm that they have backed out of that agreement since my expose. I think there's a more fundamental point, that if you felt that nothing untoward had happened, that everything was kosher, that it was a good deal, why did you run away from it when I did the expose? So
please, you are not entitled to ask questions. So provide answers.
Yes, Chairman.
Questions.
I appreciate the guidance. So let's be clear. The $38 million is what Access, the company, stood to benefit from that agreement, based on the percentage that will go to that company. If the current arrangement is maintained, where the embassies are allowed to carry out their visa processing, that money comes to Ghana, which is the current arrangement. That is why the head of missions were not happy about this arrangement, because Ghana was going to lose money. You were taking money out of the missions, out of IGF, for a private entity. That was the nature of the transaction. That is why I conclude, based on the conservative analysis we did, that we have saved Ghana $38 million. And I can make the agreement available, Mr. Chairman, if the committee would want to see it.
Thank you very much. Any further question, or you are done?
There are further questions. I don't want to go there again, because I was highly involved in this particular matter that he's speaking about. Mr. Chairman, I want to ask the nominee, Honorable Nominee, in the international multilateral arena, it is changing rapidly. Big alliances are reshaping in a very dynamic ways. How do you plan to champion a strong African representation in the international system?
Well, thank you very much for this well-informed question. And I wish I had 1 hour to answer this, but I certainly don't. You are right.
Did you say you need 1 hour to answer the question?
I said I certainly don't have that. So, please. So, Mr. Chairman, first of all, the changing global dynamics have to be appreciated. We are clearly now in a multipolar world. We've moved from unipolar to bipolar. Now we are in multipolar. We are seeing the growing influence of the BRICS countries. Some of our citizens are even beginning to mount pressure that perhaps we should join BRICS, just as Nigeria did a few weeks ago. And we all know that BRICS is now presenting very interesting options. They have the New Development Bank, which has about $100 billion available in there. A combined GDP of about 27 trillion US dollars, 40% of the world's population. So in terms of market, that is a large market share. And we all know that our biggest trading partner now is China. And China is at the center, is right in there in this BRICS arrangement. So I think that Africa should really come to this table in a united way. Imagine what we can achieve, as Osagyefo said, if we unite. At the UN, for example, the African bloc is the biggest bloc. We have more votes at the UN, but unfortunately we are not united. We don't vote in a particular way. Different, considerations. And it's the same challenge even with trade. Intra-Africa trade is still hovering under 20%. We trade more with Europe and Asia than we trade amongst ourselves. A very, very sad situation. And that's why Kwame Nkrumah mooted the idea of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area in Addis Ababa in 1963. It took more than 40 years for it to now be coming into fruition, albeit in a very slow pace. So my response to you will be that let us unite. And I'm glad that President Mahama has so much goodwill. Look at the number of heads of states who attended his inauguration. And already he has so many invitations. He's just returned from Tanzania, Kenya, and everybody wants to, host him and have a discussion with him. And I think that he has that potential of not only becoming the focal point, a potential AU chairman, to really galvanize Africa and get the African nations to unite, so that together we can have a common position on what the African interests should be. So that would be my approach, going back to the Nkrumah template of Africa must unite. Let's present a common force. And with that, we are talking about a market of about 1.5 billion. If we unite, we will be such a force that nobody can dare mess with us. But the challenge has been disunity. And that is really my philosophical outlook on these matters.
Follow up, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
You just mentioned the African Continental Free Trade Area. Mr. Nominee, until the NPP government was able to secure the use of Ghana as the base for the AfCFTA Secretariat, Ghana has been an active member of many multilateral, but hasn't really attracted any significant secretariat comparable to the AU in Addis Ababa, or the UN office in Nairobi, or ECOWAS in Abuja. This is important because the borders are attracting jobs to their countries, or these countries are attracting jobs and opportunities into their countries. As foreign minister, you plan this position, Ghana being the secretariat of AfCFTA, to attract something tangible into the country?
I mean, certainly I have gone on record in this house to commend your government for securing the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat. And I added, if you recall in that presentation, that it is a testimony of what we can achieve when we unite. I recall that former President Akufo-Addo reached out to former President Mahama, former President Rawlings, God bless his soul, former President Akufo-Addo, across the divide and said, look, let's form a joint campaign team and campaign for this secretariat. And that is why we were such a formidable force and we secured it. So I'm a bit disappointed that you have tried to partisan it and you have discounted the contributions that all of these former heads of states, particularly from my side of the political divide. The reason why it was also easy for Ghana to win the secretariat is because of Ghana's consistency. Kwame Nkrumah had mooted this idea on 25th May 1963, and then in January 2012, Professor John Evans Atta Mills, a renowned Nkrumahist, revived the discussion at the 18th ordinary session of the AU. He moved the motion that we heads of state said that, look, Ghana's consistency on this matter, you are deserving to host the secretariat. So I think that it's a collective effort, CPP, NDC, MPP, all of us, and it shouldn't be partisan. But having said that, the thrust of your question is how we can leverage this. We need to make sure that we are hosting and winning. So as we host, we are getting more jobs created. Often there are concerns when these secretariats begin to recruit that it doesn't really favor locals and that they bring in a lot of outsiders. And these outsiders often get the top jobs. And then, we are left with jobs that are not that rewarding. I intend to engage with the dynamic Secretary General, Wankele Meni, and I think that we should look at a plan on how we can really leverage on hosting, because we are spending so much money hosting. Some staff have also expressed concern about their working conditions and all of that. And I think that these are matters we can discuss in confidence and see how we boost employment opportunities for our people.
Because I overruled your first question, you have your last questions to ask.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Ablakwa, I do wish you well. And I know you will succeed. Amen. My last question. The African Union seems to have a credibility problem among young Africans, in that it is perceived as weak and toothless on the international stage. For example, in matters regarding the overstay of certain African leaders in power, the countless tragic deaths of African migrants crossing Sahara and the Mediterranean, and in the vocal defense of African interests on the global stage, the organization is found wanting. The AU, unlike the EU, appears to be too timid on behalf of its people. What would you, as foreign minister, do to help change this negative perception about the EU?
Well, thank you very much, Honorable former Minister, for your kind wishes. And I must place on record that former Deputy Minister, that you prophesied 8 years ago that I will be Minister of Foreign Affairs. So I was quite surprised when in your earlier submissions you sought to take me on. But, Mr. Chairman, on the more serious note, if the Osagefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was alive, his response to this, your question, will be, I told you so. Remember that when he led the Casablanca group, he wanted a more integral, united African states, a strong political force. He added that we must have a standby force, military force, we must have a bank, we must have a common currency. We must remove all trade barriers, trade tariffs, artificial borders, which are relics of the Berlin Conference when Otto von Bismarck called his friends in Europe and shared Africa amongst themselves. But unfortunately, the Monrovia group prevailed. And they said, let's have a loose union without an Africa standby force, without a bank, and all of these, political structures that the visionary Kwame Nkrumah put forward. So I think at the heart of this perception of the AU is about continental Africa unity and how we must go back to the original Nkrumah blueprint as was espoused by the Casablanca group. And I am glad that already those talks have begun within the AU. There are massive reforms going on. Indeed, some countries have even said that they will not pay their full access contributions unless they see greater reform and see the AU become more, transparent and more, beneficial to the African people. So it's good that those discussions are continuing. President Paul Kagame is leading the reform, and President Mahama has already struck a very good, chord with him, and I'm sure that they will continue to champion those reforms. But ultimately, you may call me an Nkrumahist, but ultimately, we must go back to Kwame Nkrumah's vision of the United States of Africa. That really is what will make the AU strong and
thank you very much.
More impactful.
I will proceed to give the floor to
my follow-up, please.
Your follow-up on this. Very well. Very well.
Mr. Nominee, let me take you on to social media, because you are a key player in that particular area. Social media has become a source of misinformation and disinformation, undermining the ability of leaders in West Africa to mobilize public support for its decisions and development agenda. You are one of the leading politicians who uses social media a lot to get your message and interest across. Looking at the generality of the situation and the concerns across the political divide, what are some of the initiatives that you will promote to overcome this dangerous development?
Well, thank you very much. I take the view that social media is a double-edged sword. It can be a force for good, and then if it's misused, it can be weaponized and used as a destructive element. I think that African leaders should become conscious of the new age, new media, and we should encourage more transparency. My view is that if African leaders and African governments adopt an open governance architecture, if they are more transparent, they are more accountable, then the people will know. Knowledge is power. It will not be easy for the people to be misled. Unfortunately, in Africa, you struggle to get information. If you are not an interceptor general, then God help you. So, Mr. Chairman, I really would say that let's have more open governance. The RTI has been passed in Ghana, but in terms of its success in implementation, there is much to be desired. And then our regulatory bodies should clamp down on those who are misusing social media for disinformation, misinformation. They create fake accounts. And unfortunately, even some governments on the continent are responsible. They have these fake news factories. They pay people to just, put out fake news. Will you believe that on my way to this vetting, few days in the run-up to this vetting, there was fake news all over that I have started deleting my Facebook messages, my Facebook exposés. All over, people were sharing it. And some people believed it, that I'm indeed deleting my Facebook post. Why will I? I'm not a coward. I'm not one to, I stand by my convictions. I'm a conviction politician. So fake news is a real problem. But I think that as for social media, it's come to stay. Let's encourage more open governance, more transparency, and we should be fine with social media.
Thank you very much. I'll give the floor to Haji Aladi Ayamba, Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, let me take this opportunity to congratulate Honorable Ablakwa. You've worked hard, right from when I was Deputy National Women Organizer, Europa came, you worked hand in hand with Fifi Kwakye and all others. You have never rested on your OS. Thanks to the Almighty Allah, we came to Parliament at the same time, and you have always soared high. I like the energy and the way you have always been able to work. And I would say, indeed, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has done exactly what is expected to him, because he has rewarded hard work for not only the party, but Ghana as a whole, and for all of us. Now, my question is, there is an acronym that has now become an international song. When even people say it, others will begin running. Someone wanted to say helter skelter and said skelter skelter. So, and the acronym is ORA. Operation Recover or Loot. I know you wouldn't belong to any team that will be doing anything adverse. So far, my observations and what I've seen, it has been good. Because I've listened, I have watched. Now, sooner than later, Oral as a team needs to have a way forward. What is Oral going to do so that all the things that you have done, the time, and now that you are not even being paid, you are just doing a yeoman's job, it wouldn't go waste. We would actually benefit from it. And then, can you tell us also, apart from the way forward, can you tell us also this particular activity that you have undertaken, how much have you saved Ghanaians from these corrupt activities that has bedeviled the country and taken so much from Ghanaian taxpayers? Thank you.
Honorable member, proceed to ask the question. But because we don't have any evidence of evaluation of how much oral has been able to save, proceed to answer the question minus that. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Chairman, and let me commend my big sister for her question and thank her for her kind words. She's been one of our mothers. We all go to her for advice, and she's always generous with her counseling and guidance. Mr. Chairman, as I said in my introduction, one of the jobs that I am so proud of, and I will remain ever so proud of, is this sacrificial job to chair ORA, Operation Recover All Loot, which is a major plank in President Mahama's anti-corruption drive. The establishment of ORA is such a master stroke, and President Mahama ought to be commended. I can reveal to you today that since ORA was established, just by the establishment of the team and we receiving information from the general public, we have saved this country 20 bungalows which were going to be demolished. 20. And I can provide the list. Bungalows that were being occupied by staff of Research Department of the Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Gender, the CSIR. Bulldozers moved in, but because they called the Oral Secretariat, and we then called National Security to take action, they were able to protect these bungalows. I have not added the Du Bois Center, the NDA lands, which were about to be captured. So, President Mahama has saved this country a great deal with the establishment of ORA, and all of us must support ORA. Now we are having an international discussion. Many people forget that ORA has international dimensions. I need not remind our colleagues here that President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has been an ORA champion in the international arena. Why do I say that? He has been advocating for reparation, that our colonial masters who looted Africa, they should bring it back, return our monies, our artifacts, return the loot. So I'm so shocked that our friends who started ORA even before President Mahama won the election in the international arena, when they come home, they don't want to hear about ORA. This is quite remarkable. You know, and I would have thought that charity will begin at home. You want the Brits and the French and others to return the loot. But back home, you want looters to go scot-free. Let's not do anything about looting. I find it really contradictory. So let's see some consistency. The other international dimension about ORA is that if you check the ECOWAS protocols, the AU Charter, and all the UN charters and all of that, anti-corruption is a major plank. According to the World Bank, Africa is losing about $88 billion every year because of corruption. $88 billion, and those are conservative estimates. Imagine what that money, if it stays in the continent, used for the development of the people's welfare, how our continent will look like. So as for ORA, all of us must support it. And if you look at what has gone on in this country over the last 8 years, look, I have a tall list of monies that can be retrieved. Skytrade, we can get our $2.5 million back. Ejapa, we can get our $12 million back. National Cathedral, we can get our $58 million back.
Honorable
DDS,
member, these are
SML.
projections.
Yes.
Are these projections?
Projections.
Honorable member.
Projections.
Honorable member.
No, but I think that it's important to contextualize so that, you see, when we talk about oral, people discuss oral in abstract terms. This House, Mr. Chairman, and it's unfortunate that the ranking member is not here. Mr. Chairman, if you pardon me.
Honorable member, is there a document that you want to refer to?
Yes, please, and to also table the document.
You need to seek leave to refer to it.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I want to first secure the document, and then I will table it with your permission. Pardon me, I have quite a number of documents here.
Please, just conclude your answer on this, then we can make progress. Honorable member.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
We have a very tall list today.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I have found it. It is a report of this House, your report, Mr. Chairman, with all due respect. A report of the ad hoc committee to investigate the procurement contract between the government of the Republic of Ghana and His Highness Sheikh Ahmed Dalmouk Al Maktoum and SL Global for the supply of Sputnik V COVID-19 vaccines. Mr. Chairman, this document, submitted to Mr. Speaker, adopted by this House, August 2021, signed by the Honorable Alexander K. Afenyo-Makin, Chairman of the Ad hoc Committee. This was their conclusion. Paragraph 12.4. Quote, with your permission, Mr. Chairman. The committee urges the Minister for Finance to take steps to recover the money due to the Republic in respect of the amount of $2 million, 850,000 United States dollars. So $2 million. Equivalent at the time to 60,331,640 Ghana cedis, being the cost of the Sputnik V vaccines that were procured wrongly. Adopted by this House. So, Afenyo-Makin, the Honorable Afenyo-Makin, signed this report.
I was part of that committee.
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Yafo. Yes, I'd even forgotten that. So, even as a House, we have been doing oral with the support of Honorable Afenyo-Makin, signing documents, also concerned about monies that have been looted that we cannot find. So why will you fight President Mahama when you have some of these reports that you yourselves have signed, urging retrieval from a finance minister? So, as for oral, it has come to stay. The second part of a question about the future of oral. Let me place on record that our job at this point is just to collect the information.
Member, just limit yourself to the scope of the question.
Yes. She asked about the future of oral. It's important. And many Ghanaians have been asking since my appointment. Many Ghanaians have been asking. The way forward for oral. The way forward for oral is that all the information that have come from patriotic Ghanaians, we will be handing over our report soon, in the next few days, to His Excellency the President, the appointor. And then he will decide with his Attorney General on the second phase of oral, which is the execution phase, the retrieval phase.
Thank you very much.
So that's the future of oral. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Honorable Nominee, I am a lady from a constituency and an MP that has two countries that border us. That is Burkina Faso to the north and Togo to the east. There are a lot of concerns about the unrest, let me use that word, that especially is coming up from the Burkina side. We have a lot of unapproved roads, and because of where we are coming from, you cannot tell who is who immediately, because we look alike. Basically we speak the same language. We are afraid of spillovers because of the, people will say Boko conflict, and I will say the Kusag conflict, because it entails a whole lot. Would you take it on yourself as a minister, if approved, to make sure that you work hand in hand with the two countries, although Burkina Faso has opted out from ECOWAS, but we are well aware that there is some leverage that we should work hand in hand with them. Will you work with them to ensure that we bring an end to these issues? Because those who are there and causing these problems, which can reach
But I can assure you, Honorable Chairman, that I don't care a hoot which class I travel. If we get into economic difficulties and there is a policy that ministers should travel economy, I am happy to travel economy, because even as MD, there are times that I travel economy when I can, and I don't see it as a big deal. Indeed, when I met the Venerable Dr. Obed Asamoah, he told me that for the first 7 years, in the heady days of the revolution, as foreign minister, he was flying economy. Didn't take anything away from him. So I really don't care if there's a policy that let's fly economy. And don't forget that even about cost-saving measures, sometimes it depends on the airlines. As minister, I'll be interested in cost-saving measures. So if there is a travel, it is not only the class that you travel that you can save money. Even the airlines, can KLM take you there cheaper? Can Africa World or Delta or Kenya Airways or Ethiopian Airlines take you there cheaper? Give me the options and let's look at what is in the national interest. Then size of delegation. I can assure you that what we saw in the recent past, where more than 300 people can claim to be going for a COP27, President Mahama would not tolerate that. So even size of delegation, you cannot decide to fly economy. But if you pack 1,000 people, 1,000 officials, that you are flying economy, you haven't saved the country anything. So we should be more nuanced about these discussions. It is not as simplistic as it's being presented.
I recognize the minority leader on a follow-up question. Very well, he said it's okay. So, Honorable Safoa, your second question.
I would have wished that I would have another follow-up question, but it's fine. Let me ask my second question. Honorable Nominee, you should be very familiar with the struggles of members of parliament, especially since the inception of the Fourth Republic. The struggles they go through with many aspects of their work and life, especially with transportation. You and I are not Accra boys. We all came from our various regions and came to Accra. And so obviously, when you are elected as a member of parliament and you get to Accra, there are issues of transportation for members of parliament. Now, in the 8th parliament, in spite of these glaring difficulties, members of parliament.
Honorable member, your question, please.
Honorable Chairman, with the greatest of respect, just 30 seconds to lay a background. It's not offensive, respectfully. I'm doing so
you call this a
on behalf of the people of Ghana, so I beg you, respectfully. In spite of all these difficulties that colleagues go through, you vehemently oppose the grant of car loans to members of parliament. Now I have in my hand a report by the City Newsroom dated the 10th of July 2021. And that publication, the headline that I have in my hand says that government must stop facilitating MPs' car loans. Government must stop facilitating MPs' car loans. Now, did you, as a member of parliament at the time, receive a car loan? And if yes, did you purchase a vehicle with that money?
So, Honorable Asafoa, I want to get the question clear. The City News, how is it attributed to the nominee before us? Because the author definitely is City News.
Especially Honorable Nominee, Honorable Chairman, I made mention of the fact that the Honorable Nominee made a statement which was captured by City News, attributed to the Honorable Nominee. of it is Honorable Ablakwa. So it's a statement that is attributed to him to have said that government must stop facilitating car loans for members of parliament.
Honorable Asafua, the difficulty that I have is that City News attributed something to Honorable Ablakwa. Now you are assuming
I said he granted
that once the City News have done that, he is the author of this document. So you need to first of all
allow him to
find out from him. He is responsible, the author of this document. So you need to first of all
allow him to
find out from him. He is responsible for making that particular statement. And you proceed to ask your question.
Very much so. So, my first question to you. That is a culmination of a number of corruption scandals scandals, you think that ORA need to pursue that amount of money, $84 billion. Inclusive of that allegation is a DREP component that you mentioned. I was a deputy minister for local government, and there was a contract between DACF and JA Plant Pool. Now, as part of the 84 billion, you included in that 84 billion that there is an aspect of it which is a DREP component, that you have included it as part of corruption scandals. Now, the contract amount of that DREP contract is about $173 million. Now, with that $173 million that you have included in the $84 billion that is supposed to be, as it were, collected, or take that for the people of Ghana, how is that a corruption scandal, or how, in your estimation, how is that termed as corruption in your own definition?
Thank you very much. We'll take a short break for just 5 minutes while we remain seated.
He's very competent. He's an able man. He knows the subject matter. But he knows his way out The man knows his way out.
Someone want to chat. One FM 95.1. Yeah, you know,